We're over here live at Wally's over on Microtech. Getting ready to head on over to the Expo Hall for IAE2952. Day 3, Aegis Day. Aegis is one of the big ones. You know, that means it's going to be time to go boom boom, as most of their lineup is all about the boomsticks. Looking forward to seeing what they've got on display this time around. Although I haven't really heard too much news about Aegis this year. But it's always fun to explore the Expo Hall, and I hope you'll do it with me. Anyway though, before we get started, let's check out the page, see what's going on, and check up on my man, Jax McCleary. I'd love to see what he's up to. Got the ships for sale as usual, but let's get our Jax update. I need my Jax fix. Here we go.
Whoa, no need to resort to fisticuffs to decide whose Aegis ship is the better. No, for crying out loud! Go get in your damn ships, come on! Let's take it to the tarmac, shall we? All right then, friends. Gladius versus Sabre.
She used to be fitting in with the pirates, she's fine.
Once and for all, sans violence. I mean, I used to do this kind of thing on my show all the time. Are they ready? Sounds good!
Is that Bob?
See, we've arranged a tower of barrels for
Nice.
each ship to blast. Each ship has the standard factory loadout. So let's see how that Gellinson Mantis GT220... Oh! Maybe we should get out of here. Never put the cutter. Oh, there it is.
Oh my gosh. You know, what's going on with Jax kind of reminds me of what happened to Jeremy Clarkson with Top Gear when he got, you know, kind of made a mistake and he got kicked off the show by the BBC and then ended up spinning it and doing it over in Amazon. It looks like Jax has got his own little pirate show going on there. I must admit, you know, I kind of missed the old ones because you got a little bit more information about the actual new ships and stuff like that, but this is, you know, at least you're giving us some entertainment. But I hope this is going somewhere. It's nice to see he's fitting in with the pirates, though, and not becoming, like, you know, a pirate victim. Alright, anyway, it is late. I want to hop on in and check out Aegis, because it's going to be a lot of ships to go through. And, of course, it did. Alright, welcome to Aegis Day in the Hall. Looks like the centerpiece, as usual, is going to be the Reclaimer. And it reclaims stuff. And that's flanked by the Sabres. Which aren't really two of my favorite ships, but let's get into it. Anyway, the Sabre is a medium stealth fighter. It has 4 size 3 laser repeaters, 4 size 3 missiles on it. It's being a medium fighter, it should be able to take a little bit more of a pounding than a light fighter. I think I flew one for like 20 minutes and then I was done with it. I think I ended up upgrading this to a Ion Inferno, I want to say. Yeah. Mainly because that was like, you know, it was a sexy ship at the time. But anyway, it's supposed to be a stealth fighter, so if stealth gameplay is your thing, this may be a ship that you're interested in looking at. One of these years, one of the notes I have is that I'll do more research on this ship, and I say that every year, and I never do it. This is the Comet variant, which I believe just kind of reverses the weapon loadout. I believe it's in lore, it's the configuration of one of the UEE's heroes. So they went with that. To me, though, it's just a Comet with a different paint job. An uglier paint job, if you ask me. Because I'm not really big on the camo. I think if you're going to do camo, do it as green. This is a Masters of Flight version of the Sabre. Pays tribute to Captain Kumar Delion, who was a famed fighter, piloting the UEE. Those are your Sabres. Alright, let's get into a ship that has been around for a while, and I find it to be a lot more interesting, especially being a industry logician of sorts. The Reclaimer. And what a big beast she is. I'm not sure I'd call it a sexy beast, but a beast nonetheless. Alright, so the Reclaimer is a huge salvage ship, as the name Reclaimer kind of suggests. Let's see if we can get inside while we talk about it, because I think one of the things people love about this ship is that it reminds you of Aliens, right? Like, it reminds me of the Nostromo from the first Aliens movie, and I think somebody just went into the ship already. So for a multi-crew ship, I mean, I think if you're interested in role-playing that sort of stuff, I guess this guy reopened it. Stop messing around, I want to get in. But anyway, there's some pretty good Star Citizen machinima that uses this ship because the interior looks so much like the Aliens movie, and it's a really good multi-crew experience. Finally. I don't know what that guy was doing. Or maybe it was these guys fooling around on the lift, huh? I like this ship a lot. I don't know if I'd recommend renting the ship, though. I mean, obviously it's free, so it's a good opportunity to do so, but flying one of these beasts, yeah, you better have a lot of time on your hands, because you're not going to be going anywhere quickly, especially trying to escape Atmo. But look at this interior. Doesn't look great. It looks like a ship that, you know, looks like it's old and disarray and probably smells bad. Anyway, I like these living quarters here. You know, they're Spartan, but they're not like, it doesn't look like it's uncomfortable like a Drake. I'm not sure what's going on here. There's always a mess in these bathrooms. And I never seem to show up on the mirror, so I don't know if that makes me a vampire. This bathroom is kind of what I would imagine jail being like. I've never been to jail, but probably very stainless steel like that. Not too inviting, but it's there. Being a huge bathroom guy, I want to see bathrooms in my living spaces, so just glad it has that. This looks like Captain's quarters. Oh yeah, Captain gets his own bedroom. I suppose we should actually talk a little bit about what this thing does. Obviously, salvage gameplay is not here yet, and with a name like Reclaimer, as you can imagine, it reclaims stuff. I do think when salvage does come out, though, this will probably be like your mole experience. As the mole is to mining, this will probably be to salvaging. Should be a really great experience from that aspect. I'll rely on you guys to fill in the stats. One of the stats I was trying to look up right now is how many SUs of cargo does the Reclaimer actually hold? Anyway, we got the mess hall here. Which, I mean, you can tell these are really nice pieces for your org to kind of hang around and, I don't know, shoot the stuff. I'm not sure what's up with this. Is this a turret? Looks like it would be, huh? Maybe not. Maybe a docking ring? I don't know. You can tell I go inside this ship a lot. But I do like it. I think it looks the way that a ship that scraps metal would probably look like. And the commercial is pretty awesome. This guy looks like he's heavily contemplating whether to get a Reclaimer. I'm assuming these are going to be salvage stations of some kind. If not, they look cool. I think if I'm going to knock this ship in any sort of way, it's that it is a bit of a maze. Not as bad as a Starfarer, in my opinion. That's the ship I least like going through, but we'll talk about that more on Mist Day. Okay, we got the tractor beam operator there, and more tractor beam operations. And it looks like this is going to be our bridge. But it's a good layout. I think As a multi-crew ship goes, it's the type of experience you want to have with your mates. But yeah, it is a beast. It looks kind of like a bug to me. Maybe like a praying mantis or something. But it is a lot of metal. I'm not sure how they squeezed it in here. So yeah, I mean, without salvage being in the game, I can't really speak to how useful this is going to be. Well, that's our scanning station, huh? Although my opinion is that I think salvaging is going to be a fun game loop. If they can pull it off the way that they pulled off mining, it should be pretty good. Forgot that my FOIP's going on here, so my guys should be talking somewhat as I'm talking. I can't believe how big this hall is. Can you imagine walking around this hall in real life? How tired you'd be? Alright, this is a fun room. Looks like we got Space Penguins on the side here, the Avenger series, and then the infamous Redeemer in the middle. I like the color Redeemer. So it's funny, for Drake Day I said, you know, Drake seems to love the letter C for starting most of her ships with C. Aegis seems to have a thing with the letter R, with Redeemer, Reclaimer, Retaliator. We'll get into it. Anyway, let's start with the Space Penguins. I think we got the Avenger Titan over here. For a long time, these were the best starter ship until, I would say, this show. I think the Cutter's giving it a run for the money. But yeah, the Avenger Titan, still up there. If it's not the best, I guess you'd have to say it's the second best. A lot of the old-time players affectionately call it the Space Penguin, because if you look at the profile from the top of the ship, it kind of resembles a penguin. These are great starter ships. They were originally, I believe, combat ships that were turned into patrol ships in lore. Oh, I'm sorry, the Renegade was the blue and yellow one, wasn't it? Yeah. That one is a special variant of the Titan that is part of the Masters of Flight series. It's got a in-lore story behind it where I believe, like, some famous pilot who was for the advocacy, I think his name was Solomon somebody, used to hunt down a lot of outlaws with the Renegades. So basically the real difference is you get the cool paint job, but it reverses the weapon layout just a little bit. So, you know, I think the primary fire becomes the pew-pews and the secondary fire is the Gatling gun in the front. Very popular in militias. For a starter ship, it's kind of cool because you can fit like some hover vehicles in here, definitely a Grey Cat buggy. It's got 8 SUs of cargo, which is pretty good for a entry-level starter ship. As a matter of fact, I think the Cutter has 6 SUs, right? So that would still give the Titan the edge just a little bit, if I'm correct, with the SUs. Oh. I have the helmet too, but you know, I don't wear it because I don't like to freak people out. And that guy totally freaked me out when he bumped into me and I saw his guts hanging out of the helmet. Anyway, getting back to this, 8 SUs of cargo. Got a bed to log in and out of, which is nice. The interior doesn't look like it's dirty or yucky like the Reclaimer. There are 2 ways to exit this ship, which was kind of funny because there used to be a bug way back in the day where you'd hit a button and the cockpit would open up while you're in quantum. So that happened to me a lot with this ship when I first had it. I think that bug's been fixed up. But anyway, it's not a bad starter ship. I like it in combat a lot. I mean, it's got a size 3 Gatling gun on the nose here, which is nice. You just have to know like when to use it, because the problem with ballistics, right, is you don't want to run out of your stuff, right? But you can soften up the shields on your targets with the 2 size 2 laser repeaters, and then at the end you finish them off with this Gatling gun here on the nose. So I like that. It's got missiles on it. I think they're size 2, 4 size 2 missiles, so nothing to write home about, but it's there. I still think as a starter ship it's one of the better ones. Alright, so that is going to be our Titan. Which one is this over here? Let me see if I can guess by looking at the back of it. Oh, okay, yeah, this is the one that'll make sure you're not going to have any more children. I believe this is the one with the huge EMP, the Warlock. Anyway, it swaps out the cargo bay for a huge EMP generator. Similar to the Hawk, you can use it to shut down the power systems and the electronics of other ships. I don't particularly like this one because, I mean, as you can see, you can't really carry any cargo back here, even though it looks cool. Very specific, you know, gameplay for this one, so you'll have to see if that one fits your style. Alright, the Avenger Stalker. This is accidentally the first Stalker I got. I shouldn't say it's an accident, but the reason why I got it is it's the bounty hunting variant. It's got these cells in the back. And years and years and years ago, like, you know, like 2014, 2015, I got it because I was thinking, oh, this is going to be like Boba Fett. I'll be able to store guys back here and, you know, lock them up. But that gameplay never really came into the game. So I think when it comes into the game, it'll be something kind of cool. But for right now, it's just kind of a nice set piece, if you will. But you can lock your friends in here. Say hi. But anyway, you know, it trades out the cargo space that you would want for a vehicle and stuff like that. So I don't recommend anything besides a Titan. I think that's the best way to go with an Avenger. And now for a very controversial ship, either you love it or you hate it, the Redeemer. This ship has a very interesting history. I even remember when this contest was out, they were like looking for, I think they had like a design, the next spaceship, and a whole lot of people submitted a whole bunch of designs. And the team that won was the one that submitted this design here, which was the Redeemer, which is a gunship. A lot of people didn't think that it fit Aegis, but I think they did a good job of adopting it to Aegis. And it took years upon years to come out, but I'm glad it's finally in the game. And it's actually a pretty good ship. I enjoy it. As a matter of fact, Dan, who was here in chat earlier, took us out in his the other day, and that was a lot of fun. Going around and destroying people. So let's see, some of the highlights here. I mean, it's a devastating gunship. It's kind of like a mini Hammerhead when you think about it. It's got a crew complement of 1 to 4. Only a whopping 2 SUs of cargo, and I think you actually see where the 2 SUs would go. Let's get in here. One thing I don't like about the show is that I feel like they should have the lights on, right? Like if it was an actual ship show, wouldn't the lights be on? Anyway, your 2 SUs of cargo go here. You got your typical Spartan Aegis interior with the bunks here. You know, so everybody gets a bed. Hopefully nobody's a snorer. You got 2 man size 5 Gatling turrets. That's a beast. And then another 2 size 5 remote turrets. And a whopping 16 size 2 missiles. So this is a beast to deal with on the battlefield. The only thing I would knock with it is it's not the most maneuverable ship out there, but it is a heavy ship, so what do you expect, right? But where I give it the edge over the Hammerhead is that the pilot actually has some weapons they can fire as well too, so I like this ship a lot. I think it's a beast, and I think it makes more sense to buy this one than a Hammerhead, unless you're definitely in an org and you know you're going to have a lot of people with you. Although the Hammerhead is a good ship we'll talk about as well too. But that is our Redeemer. Affectionately referred to as the Deemer. Alright, this is another interesting room to talk about. You got the Gladiuses going on in here. Those are the 2 light fighters on the sides, and then in the middle is the Hammerhead that I was talking about earlier. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, right? That's how the saying goes. Anyway, this is the Hammerhead. It's got a unique layout. Looks like a Hammerhead shark, so of course they had to put the bridge on the bottom. Which I don't agree with because it really limits your visibility above. I like to see what's above and below me, and with this, you can't really do that. However, the docking collar thing is on the top, which is kind of nice. And when it docks with a station, you know, that actually comes out, so that is kind of a nice feature, I think. But yeah, this is your gunship in Star Citizen. Also sticking with that Aegis aesthetic. It's got a very Aliens appeal on the inside of the ship, which I really liked about this ship. They kind of sold me on it, was just the way the interior looks. But yeah, this is a gunship. I think technically it's classified as a Corvette. It's got 6-man turrets, 3 to 9 person crew complement, whopping 40 SUs of cargo, which, you know, means a 400i even has more cargo capacity than this, but it's not really meant to carry cargo. It's meant to jack stuff up. I believe in the back here is the cargo bay area, though, which I want to look at real quick because I think you should be able to get a vehicle in here. Yeah, so right now the lift is down, but you should be able to fit. Well, definitely your smaller ground vehicles are going to fit in here. Not sure if an Ursa rover would fit in here. If anybody knows, let me know. You also got engineering here, which looks like the engine's jacked up. This doesn't look safe at all. Looks like this might blow up in the conference hall. So let's get out of this room. But yeah, I mean, as the ship goes, I think it's really nicely decked out. You have your turrets on the sides, I believe. Not this side. But the other sides, trust me, they're there. Your crew quarters around here, and I think the captain's room is in here. Yeah, so the captain gets, you know, sit down. This is where he makes his decisions. He gets to decide who's on and off the ship. And I believe it goes into his bedroom. I should say their bedroom, right? Because the captain could be a woman. But it does have its own private bathroom, which is a nice touch. If you're me. And a dedicated shower. So we're not even talking about a chalet situation here. And look at all that toilet paper. Talking about a lot of TP capacity here. Good job on this. Let's see if I'm right. This is another turret. One on top. I will say, if you are in a crude Hammerhead, though, it is fun. The only problem is you only really get to use it for like special events like Xeno Threat. Yeah, it's one of my favorite ships. Just not perfect. Like, I think one of the main drawbacks that I have with this ship is that the pilot doesn't have like any weapons they can shoot. Not even like, they could have put like 2 crappy size 1 laser repeaters on the front for the pilot. You know, just give him something to do. But this one is really just all about those turrets and your gunners. But I mean, that's a good thing, right? Pretty good, just the way it is. This is your bridge area, kind of sticking with the aliens look, if you ask me. Or it looks like those ships from Pandora. Not Pandora. The planet's Pandora, but what is that, maybe? Avatar? Yeah, there we go. So you got good visibility below you, which is fine if your targets are below you, but oftentimes they're going to be straight ahead or on top of you. So that's the one knock I would have against this ship. I think that could have been done better. But, you know, aside from that, it's a pretty good looking ship, and you can tell from the top profile, like the name suggests, it does look like a hammerhead shark. Five turrets with good range of motion. And as long as you're on a server that's having a good day, it's nice. Anyway, let's talk about the Gladiuses. I think the Gladius, like, if you are interested in the market for an entry-level fighter, it's probably one of the better ones to get. I actually prefer flying it over the Arrow because the Arrow's too fast for me. So I do like this one, and it just had a recent redesign, I believe, where all the components are accessible from the outside now. But anyway, in lore, this is a very famous fighter ship, I believe during one of the Van Duel Wars. It's beloved for performance and simplicity, maybe a little duplicity. Fast light fighter with laser focus on dogfighting. And I could be wrong, but it seems like it's favored by a lot of PvPers. I'm not sure if that's still the case, but I know it was at one time. It's got some personal storage compartments on the outside, and I just like the way the ship looks. I think it looks pretty cool. Now the drawbacks for me is that I'm not much of a light fighter guy, because not being the best combatant in the world, it's not going to take that much of a pounding. You probably want the heavier fighters or the mediums if you're like that. But if you're good at fast fighters, this one may fit the bill, and it does look attractive to me. It's got one size 3 Gatling gun, 2 size 3 laser repeaters, 4 size 3 missile racks back here. I think it's a total of 6 missiles altogether. Sorry about the camera work there. Anyway, it's a decent ship. The Gladius Valiant is part of that Masters of Flight series, so there's a lore story with that one as well too. I think we're into Valiant actually. I think this is the standard one. Basically the same deal, it just kind of reverses the primary fire and secondary fires. So I guess you'll have to decide if that works for you, if it speaks to you. The Retaliator bomber and the Eclipse stealth fighter. Let's talk about the Retaliator bomber real quick. I believe this is supposed to be their oldest ship in lore. It is, as the name suggests, a bomber, so you know it's there to do the heavy fighting. I am not the biggest fan of this one, mainly because I feel like the inside is kind of tight, but if you're looking for a multi-crew ship, this one may fit the bill for you. Especially because there's 2 variants of it. I mean, one is a better deal than the other one, if you ask me. Alright, this is a heavy bomber. It's been used by the military for years. I want to say more than a century, probably. It's got a crew complement of 4 to 7. For a large ship like this, you would think it could carry some cargo, but it can't. 0 SCUs. And let's see if we remember how to get inside. Should be a lift around here. But this is another popular one for big events like Xenothreat, because it carries a nice load of torpedoes. Oh no, what I'm recalling is there's 2 variants, right? So there's a bomber, which I think we're in right now, and then there's the base edition, which I don't believe they've ever released that yet. But that base edition is basically, this is supposed to be a modular ship, so like instead of having torpedoes, which I think we're looking at right now, so I'm going to assume that the modules are going to be on the inside of the ship, you should be able to buy different modules for this ship. One for like cargo, so if you want to use it for cargo hauling, which in that case that would be more appealing to me as a cargo guy. Very tight in here. That's one of the things I don't like about this if you're claustrophobic. But anyway, it's going to have a cargo module, a drop seat module. Like we need more drop seats, living module, which I guess maybe for touring? I don't know. But anyway, it comes with a torpedo bay. But as we stand right now, the main reason to get this one would be for like an event like Xenothreat. There's not really anything else out there, and I just fell through the ship before we could get to the bridge. So yeah, nice ship. I just don't think for me I could live with it. I think I'd hate it myself. But it does have crew quarters, I think, on the second floor of the ship, which I don't feel like going into, but it kind of reminds me of, there's like this long-nosed fighter jet that we have now. That kind of reminds me of that. Anyway, decent-sized multi-crew ship. It's just not really that appealing to me, so I never really learned that much more about it. However, I do think if you're going to get one of these, the base edition is the way to go. Although, unfortunately, it's not in the game yet. But at least it gives you some versatility to get different modules for it. I said I wasn't going to go to the upper deck, but since it's right here, let's go to the upper deck. Just super tight in this guy. I like to stretch out more. I'm a Mercury Starrunner kind of guy. Yeah, I mean, here are your bunks. You barely have enough space to slip in there. Kind of reminds me of I toured a submarine once, and it was kind of tight like this. So you gotta like your crewmen. You're gonna spend a lot of time in tight quarters with them. All right, let's talk about the Eclipse, the stealth bomber of the game. I never really liked this one because, I mean, it's basically like its big application right now is PvP, and it's more of a I'm gonna like hit you with torpedoes when you can't see it and then fly away. But it is a beautiful ship, and that's pretty much the style of gameplay you have to use with this one, because once the torps are gone, there's not much else this thing can do. So you pretty much like have to go in there, hit your target, and just get out. It's got a cool commercial though. I do recommend checking that one out. Let's see, what can we say about the Eclipse that hasn't already been said? I mean, it definitely looks like the stealth bomber, a futuristic version of that. Holds a whopping 0 SUs of cargo. I mean, looks beautiful, but very niche. So, you know, you're basically buying this because you're in an org, and you know your job is just to be that guy who sneaks in there and torps things out. 3 size 9 torpedoes and 2 ballistic Gatlings. So even a PPU's on there, Gatlings, so that means, you know, you're not going to have a lot to fire. Not a huge payload. But if that is your gameplay, if that is your style, then this is your ship for a fee, which we'll talk about later on. Alright, so that wraps up this room. Let's see what else we got going on. Alright, this is our Vanguard room, the heavy fighter room. These are a really nice lineup of ships, probably the best fighters in the game, if you ask me. Not just because they're heavy fighters, but they just they have a nice interior. All the rules are pretty good. This one right here is the electronic warfare variant one, the Sentinel, which, if you ask me, has the best paint job. Nice big heavy ships. They're, I believe, a 2-crew ship. There's a turret on there, so you and a buddy can go do your stuff. This one, I mean, I haven't used it successfully very well, but I think it's got one of the best interiors. It should be able to do that EMP stuff, shut down other ships. You got a full bathroom in here, and it's a clean looking one. The Showlet. Small little kitchenette going on. Spartan accommodations. Got the turret above, I believe, around here. And here's your cockpit. So, I mean, it is a warship. I mean, don't expect any cargo space, but if you can get past that, these are just great ships to have. I even like the layout of the interior. One other thing I should mention too is that these are long-range fighters, so they have a decent quantum tank. You're gonna be able to travel around pretty far, pretty much anywhere in the Stanton system. This one here is the electronic warfare one, like I mentioned before, so it's got the EMP for knocking stuff out. And typically Vanguards have a size 4 Gatling gun on a nose. Which, while the Gatling gun is pretty cool, it is susceptible to falling off, which has happened to me a few times. So you got to be careful of that. You got 4 size 2 cannons as the secondary weapon, which is also on the nose. So even though this is a 2-crew ship, I've been very successful just soloing with it. But when you do have a buddy, they can go on top here in a turret, which is also very capable. And it's nicely placed on top, so both of you can be faced at the target at all times. Without going too crazy. But it does swivel all the way around too, so you can, you know, hit targets that are behind you. This is a size 6 turret with 2 size 2 laser repeaters. It's got 12 missiles ranging between size 2s and size 3s. Can't say enough about the Vanguard series. Alright, so this is the Warden, probably the entry-level Sentinel I'm sorry, the entry-level Vanguard. But, you know, still a pretty good ship. You got a gun rack here on the sides. I mean, everything you would need. Some serviceable components back up there. Now, this is the Harbinger. This is the one that has the Torpsy on it. It's got a nice message on the Torp on the inside, if I recall. Yes, with love. But yeah, you can see they're all pretty much fairly similar with some slight variances. The Hoplite one, which we're going to go into now, is the dropship variant version. The reason why this one exists is that I believe the dropship that was out at the time, the Valkyrie, couldn't fit inside of... Is it the Idris? One of the capital ships that's in Squadron 42, so they decided to take one of these and turn it into a dropship for one of the missions. So this one here has got seating for 6 and some nice gun racks. I am not big on dropships, and I don't really like this as a dropship. So this is probably like my least favorite one. I don't think I'd buy this one. For me, like, a dropship should have the doors, like, I like sliding doors on the side where the troops can just like jump on and off. And this one doesn't have that. You know, it's like towards the back. I guess technically it works, but I don't know. Not feeling it as a dropship. But I am feeling this line of ships. These are great ships. Great heavy fighters. They can take a pounding. Definitely worth working up to and getting one in your hangar, if you ask me. Yeah, nothing here at all. Maybe that's another reason why I prefer Anvil over Aegis. No ground vehicles to talk about with Aegis. It's kind of surprising. Alright, let's talk about concepts. So many ships in Star Citizen, I'm just losing my mind. I'm getting them all confused. It's the Vulcan, not the Vulture. The Vulcan is Aegis's repair ship. It's, from what we understand, it's going to be a support ship capable of refueling and rearming ships on the battlefield. Uses repair drones to repair ships, so I guess the drones are going to shoot out of this guy and go and repair your ships. Why is she standing like right there? It's going to be cheaper than your Crucible. However, I think the Crucible, in my opinion, both of these repair ships are not out yet because the gameplay loop is not here yet. But if you ask me, I think the Crucible is going to be a better bet because that one's going to have a garage in it. We'll talk about it more for Anvil Day, but that is what I know about the Vulcan. Alright, and here's the Nautilus, which is their mine laying ship. I'm not very big on mine laying or that gameplay loop. But it looks like it's going to be capital size, or just under capital size, maybe. I don't know, who knows? It's still in concept. But it looks like a nice ship to me. Should have a nice array of turrets on it, so that would be helpful. And I guess as large capital ships go, or warships go, this one looks kind of cool. If anything, I don't even think it looks very Aegis. Looks like something from Mass Effect, though. At least to me. Alright, that is the Nautilus. I think that's it. They don't have the Idris showing. We can get into that more in Best and Bad Buys, which I guess we can just jump into because that is pretty much the Aegis haul. Alright, let's see what today's deals are. Just curious. What is the deal today? Okay, that's on the Eclipse. Yeah, we'll talk about that as we get to the Eclipse. Alright, so the Avenger Stalker. It's $60. I only recommend one Avenger, and it's not going to be the Stalker if you're actually going to buy with real world money. So let's say a no to this one, especially because I don't like the fact that the gameplay loop isn't currently fully implemented yet. So we're going to pass on this one, give it a bad buy. So opening up with a bad buy. Avenger Titan at $55. This was always my first pick, and I think a lot of people's is best starter ship. Even though it's a little bit more than your typical starter ship price, I'd always say, hey, just splurge a little bit more and pay for this one. However, now that the cutter is out, I think the cutter is slightly better than this ship, and it's about $10 less than this ship. So this is the very first time at an IAE that I'm going to give the Avenger Titan a bad buy, just because I think the cutter is a better buy and you get more mileage out of that ship. So it's just funny how things change. Alright, Titan Renegade at $75, definitely a bad buy. It doesn't really, in my opinion, give you that much more over the initial Titan. You're just getting this one, as a guilty pleasure purchase, which there's nothing wrong with that, if that's what you're into. But I don't think there's enough value there to really justify spending more. Plus, you can buy these all in game also, so keep that in mind. Avenger Warlock at $85, that's going to be a bad buy. Also, for the same reasons, gameplay loop isn't there, and you can purchase this one in game. And I don't believe it's that expensive, so. Alright, the Eclipse. This is the deal of the day. $300. I never liked this ship at a price point of $300 because it's niche. So let's check out what the offer is anyway, though. So $300. All IAE ships come with 10 years of insurance. I prefer LTI if I'm going to go for insurance. And let's see, if we spend the war bond price on this one, what are we looking at? That's like a $20 discount on this one. If you really want to have one in your hangar, maybe this is the time to do it. But I still don't like this one at this price point, so I'm going to give it a bad buy, even though it's a great ship. I think you should maybe get an Avenger Titan and start your career to build yourself up to this ship. If you're going Aegis. Alright, Gladius. $90. Should be your entry-level fighter. Gonna give this one a bad buy. Mainly because I give all fighters a bad buy, even though I do like the Gladius, but they're fairly inexpensive in game, so that's probably where your focus should be. Get yourself a good starter ship, and then buy all the fighters to your heart's content, in my opinion. Same deal with the Gladius Valiant. I never really liked. I know that these are special edition ships, but it's basically the same ship, just a slightly different. It's got the same weapons. It's just a slightly different weapons configuration as far as like where the primary fires are. So definitely don't think it's worth it for the price. That's going to be a bad buy for me. But if you are a collector, then this is probably appealing to you. I don't think it's great value though. At $110, you could already buy a Cutlass and spend that $10 on a paint job for that Cutlass, which is a ship you're going to get a lot more mileage out of. Well, in my opinion anyway, as far as money-making potential, but if you're a bounty hunter, you might want to think about that Gladius. Anyway, the Hammerhead at $725, definitely a bad buy at this price. Any ship at that price, I think, is probably going to get a bad buy for me. But it is a great multi-crew ship. Again, probably one of those stretch goals, I would say. Give yourself a purpose in game to earn up to. So right now it is a sandbox game that you have to pretty much find your own motivations to play. Alright, Idris P at $1,500. Let's not even beat around the bush. Bad buy. Although this is going to be a great combat frigate and capital ship. During Invictus, you should check them out. I don't think you can go inside one of these, but yeah. They've already sold out anyway because all the whales go after these ships. But you definitely shouldn't spend that much money I don't think the game is well funded enough that you don't need to do this. You can support the game in other ways. Alright, Javelin at 3 grand. No. Gosh, this one hurts. 3 grand. Here's a big deal with the Javelin. I mean, it is a major capital destroyer. It's a very impressive ship. When Invictus is out, you can actually tour the ship. But unless you know that you're going to have an org and a very active org, I'm not sure you're going to see the value out of this ship. So it's definitely something I think you should earn in game. Prove to yourself that you have the type of org that can support this ship. Alright, Nautilus at $725. Bad buy just because I don't believe in spending that kind of money. Also, it's in concept, so if you're going to spend this kind of money on a concept ship, you really have to love what it does. Very niche role to me, so I'm not sure I love what it does. But that's me. Let me know if you think it's a good buy. Alright, the Reclaimer. It reclaims at $400. That's a big price, although I do think that this is going to be a good industry ship. Definitely a lot of fun for orgs that are going to be into salvaging. I think salvaging is going to be good, but I can't promise you it's going to be good, so we're going to call it a bad buy for now. Maybe get a Vulture. Hang out with a bunch of Vulture buddies and work your way up to this one. It's so tough when you just don't know if the gameplay is going to be good or not. We don't know how salvage is going to come out. However, I suspect it will be good because they did a good job with mining. Alright, the Redeemer at $325. A bit overpriced if you ask me. So we're going to give that one a bad buy. But again, another fun ship. Great ship to have in the verse. Alright, Retaliator at $150. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'll say this is an okay one. The reason why I'm going to say okay is because of the versatility of it. Like I mentioned, it's got those modules, so you can, in theory, turn this into a cargo hauler, a drop ship, a touring ship. So it's got some potential there. And you're not spending as much money as the bomber, so it is a bit overpriced, but I'm going to just say it's okay based on future potential. I wish that it was... I was going to say, I wish it was flight ready. It says it is flight ready. Did I miss something? I'll have to go back and check that. Maybe I'll go rent it. I knew that the bomber is flight ready, but I wasn't sure that the base was. We'll have to go and check that out. Because to my knowledge, they're giving out loaners for the Retaliator. Why don't we look that up now? Because it's really bothering me. I'll come back to this. Anyway, the Retaliator bomber at $275. Definitely going to be a bad buy there. Great ship, but it is niche and you're not going to use it every day. So I don't like spending that kind of money on something I'm not going to use every day. Probably spend that money on a Mercury. It's my favorite daily driver. Sabre. Again, it's a fighter, so I can't say that I like it at this price at $170, so we can give that one a bad buy. And same thing about the Comet. I don't think there's enough value there to pay the extra for it. Go after it in game. The Vanguard's very good ships, but again, we're starting to hit that upper echelon range here. $290. I mean, you might as well just spend a little bit more on a Caterpillar, in my view, and make a lot more money. Make enough money that you can buy a whole bunch of these. So Harbinger, great ship, but we're going to say no. Hoplite, definitely a no on this one. I just don't like dropships. I don't like recommending them. Just because I don't think the value is there right now. You can buy that in game. Sentinel, bad deal. Great ship. And Vanguard Warden at $260. I think it's overpriced. Call it a bad buy there. So far, no good buys, no best buys. The potential of the Vulcan here as being a support ship is pretty major. It's just not my favorite repair ship right now. I think both repair ships are in concept right now, but I think I would recommend spending a little bit more on the Crucible because I think you need a lot more mileage out of that ship. I'm not too crazy or sold on the drone gameplay, but this is basically going to be the healer of your party, so if you're into that, you know, it might be okay from that standpoint. It does do refueling, so I wonder if you can make some money off of that. So I'm teetering with this one. I just don't know enough about it to give it an okay buy, so I'm going to give it a bad buy for now. Maybe if they do an ISC and they talk more about this ship, they might change my mind on it. But I don't think so. Anyway, those are the deals with Aegis. So it looks like that's going to wrap it up for Aegis. Nothing really new to talk about with Aegis this year, so that was a bit of a disappointment. I don't know. Let me know what you think of Aegis, especially as I edit this video and release it later on. Anyway, I want to thank you all for hanging out. I'll see you tomorrow from the club. 07 folks, and I'll see you next time.